Welcome to the No Filter Fitness of momswholift podcast, where we bring you real people, real stories, with an action plan to match your goals. You ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. All eyes on you, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Welcome to episode 2 of momswholift podcast. We are really excited to be here, and today's topic is going to be about the quarantine 15. And you're like, what the hell is quarantine 15? It's the same thing as a freshman 15, and sometimes it could be a freshman 30 or more like a quarantine 30. And the topic is kind of brought up on once the quarantine started, and me and Elle were discussing kind of our pain points in terms of being quarantined at home, trying to eat healthy, and kind of figuring out how, to kind of go about that.
All right. It's almost like it trying to eat the same way we normally eat, and at first it doesn't strike you. You just eat because you're hungry, or at least you should eat because you're hungry. And then as the week started to go, and you're not doing your regular routine, and you're not in your regular routine when you are eating, started to become an issue. And I think a lot of people, including us, started to notice differences in the way we eat, in what we eat, and when we eat. I think when we eat is very important because we're not working the regular hours like we do. Because even the people that do work, they don't work. Most of the people don't work the same hours. I think it matters.
Yeah, I agree in terms of kind of reframing our eating habits and definitely timing of things. At this point, kind of going into almost a month and a half into the quarantine, we majority of the people, and including myself, already has, we've gotten comfortable in terms of how our day-to-day lives are and kind of what we do. So at this point, regardless, regardless of what's happening, you're going to be still able to start planning a little bit better as to, what kind of food you're going to buy. What are you going to cook? Are you going to order out? How much food do you really need for the week, especially for the fact that you are home and a lot of us are getting very minimal, obviously, movement in as well. So shifting possibly, your timing of meals, how much you're eating, and what type of foods you're eating, I think is a great something really good to focus on, especially if you're concerned about your diet. And in terms of the word diet, just to get it out there, diet does not mean that you're going to be losing weight. Diet is a lifestyle. It's what it is that you're eating on a day-to-day basis, right? So if you're a vegetarian, that's your diet. If you love meat, you could be, a meat eater. That is your diet. So that's kind of how we're going to frame the word diet for this conversation that's going on.
And, and as a matter of fact, is it just a lot of people are thinking, should I even try different way to eat? Should I try to shift my weight and maybe include more vegetables since I have time to cook them, I have time to prepare meals. Should I try to switch or shift the gears and eating healthier? I think that we can elaborate on that point. If you ask my opinion, I say no. The last time you spend in the kitchen, the better. As I don't want to use the word quarantine. I fucking hate that word. Not using the word quarantine. I use the word clusterfuck. As we're going into a week and a half of the clusterfuck, think we have to go to a survival mode where the less you spend time in the kitchen, the better off you are. In many ways. Because you get stuck in one small spot that you're stuck already in your house. So I think to me, the less time in the kitchen, more times outside and outdoors if possible. Even when the weather is not so nice, just get out of that kitchen. Or to me, you gotta be a little bit of a minimalist at this point to save maximum of your mental health. But you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of start off with from the beginning of things. When everything was starting and it was kind of like the pinpoint of knowing that the schools are about to close and I'm going to the store, right, to make sure I have enough groceries for me and the kids, obviously, to be at the house. And as I'm walking into the store, and when I see empty shelves, and we're talking about empty shelves literally, like there is no meat, there is no dairy, there is almost nothing except leftover of vegetables. Can I tell you something? When I walked in there, I was like, that is an interesting situation because the first thing I did was I stocked up on all the vegetables that were
I,
left over. And I think you remember I called you. I was like, there is like no chicken. What are we gonna do?
I,
So, it's like, yeah, for me, I love my vegetables. I got all my vegetables, but at the same time, as I'm walking around the store and I'm seeing this panic, right, of all the people, that panic starts to kind of set in into
yes,
myself, right? And as I'm skimming through, of course, I start like, oh my gosh, we're going to be here for the next 2 weeks, stuck at home, nothing to eat. And I start buying, of course, all of the comfort snack foods, right? So within the first week, I quickly realized that the amount of stress that everybody is under, including myself, and I am a stress eater. I'm just, I'm going to be honest. It's just how it is. Like some people are, some people aren't. But once you realize where your kind of weakness is, you need to be able to strategize and figure out how you can kind of minimize the damage in a sense, right? So for me, once I realized that, hey, I'm stressed, we're stuck at home, I bought all these snacks, right? It wasn't for me, it was for the kids, but at the same time, I'm eating these snacks. I'm like, okay, something's got to change. So for me personally, yes, being outdoors is phenomenal. It's such a, obviously, one, you're getting your exercise in, two, you're getting out of the same spot and
yes,
getting kind of a new refreshing
yes,
point. However, for me, this is a great learning experience, not only to teach my kids about how to cook and the different types of food and nutrition, but it's also a great point for me to now understand that, hey, I can cook if I want something sweet. I am able to still make something, but a healthier version of it. And that may not be true for everyone. Some people are like, I hate
yes,
cooking and I never want to do it.
yeah,
But
yes,
but but it right now is actually a perfect time, I think, to figure out what it is that you want to do. If you really are concerned about your health and you want to change your eating habits, because we all eat, you have to eat, right? Food is part of of everyone's life. Right now may be actually a great time for you to pick up that recipe or figure out a way to cook a healthier meal than
sure,
you always ordering out or you buying frozen foods or keeping the snacks in the house.
sure,
So for some people, that's going to be the best option is finding one thing that you want to learn about yourself or implement and actually start it and be consistent on a day-to-day basis. See if you can keep it up for a couple weeks, and if you can, awesome. Then you can incorporate something else into your kind of routine. But everybody's different. Some
yeah.
people don't want to be in that kitchen, and that's
Don't want
okay. That's okay.
a lot of people, including myself. I don't cook. My cooking is making something so it's not raw and it's clear to eat, like my chicken. I cook it with nothing, so I'm in the minimalist. And for me right now, as much as I started to go in the kitchen and do something, it just annoys the hell out of me. I'm like, what the fuck I'm doing it? I don't want to do it, and I'm not gonna do it. So either I'm stuck in quarantine or not. I am still not interested in creating elaborative recipes, which is fine. Now my kids, which I have older kids, but they never were. They like to eat, but they never were a very healthy eaters or wanted to spend time in the kitchen. The good part that my kids learn is eat whatever meals they eat. It's the meals. My kids do not snack. They eat 3 meals, and I think we talked about it. They eat 3 meals and they're done. They eat, they leave the kitchen. So that's also good. Not great that they don't want to cook, but at least they associate food with nutrition, and it's just something that to satisfy their hunger. Not, that's, I think that's a point. That's a point.
Absolutely.
Some people are like, well, I don't want to cook. Try it. If you don't like it, just like with exercise. Remember when we talked about it?
Yeah,
Try it. If
absolutely.
you don't like it, don't do. It's not a force. It's not a forceful thing that we should do. Everyone is different, and it's great to be different.
Absolutely. In terms of, I think, kitchens, and this is, one. one point that I've realized and something I reiterate not only to my kids, but I also reiterate to myself is that food is not an activity.
Right.
A lot of people, including myself, are have been kind of grown up and we always around food and everything is always around food. And for us, literally, food and eating is an activity, but it
That's
is not.
correct.
It is
It's a
not an
social thing.
activity.
But
It's okay.
yeah,
You can be social. You can be social during you sitting down to eat dinner, but it's not you being social constantly being in the kitchen and eating. You know what I mean? I
I,
am I am slowly implementing that strategy, and I constantly say, "Hey, this is not an activity. If you just ate, you're not hungry. There's no need to sit there and keep picking at the food and keep picking at the snacks just because somebody else is in the kitchen." You know what I mean? And these are some just small strategies that I've been kind of, implementing and doing little by little to remind myself and obviously to remind my kids as well because we're all home. Like, you know what I mean? You need to learn little by little.
and I think I'm going to go one more Shanique, about the stress eating. Although you may be, although some people may not be a stress eater, a lot of people are, but it doesn't matter that you don't respond to stress. Your body, your emotional response to stress is just different. So I think it's important to understand that when we're stressed out, we may start doing things that we don't want to do, either it being food or any other things that you may want to do. So stress needs to be dealt with in the terms of stress management, and food or anything you put in your mouth is not stress management.
No, absolutely.
We
You know,
don't
that's
want to.
no, I think what happens is we we naturally, or at least people naturally gravitate in thinking that you eating something that is tasty or that, something that you like is gonna kind of calm the nerves or calm your stress, right? And you know what? It does so maybe for the first minute, but what happens afterwards? So it's trying to be proactive and trying the way you break the cycle is basically, this is what I kind of do to myself. When I find myself stress eating or grabbing something because I feel, anxious or stressed or whatever, I, in the midst of it, especially if I'm conscious and aware about it, I ask myself, is this going to help me at this moment? Do you know what I mean? You got it. You need to start asking questions to yourself
That's a
in
strategy.
order to truly understand is are these what I'm doing, is it benefiting me in a way? Because if we never ask the question, what's going to happen? You're literally just going to take your brain is going to take over your routine. It's a routine, it's a habit that you have
Yeah.
developed, and in order to break it, you need to start being aware and conscious and asking yourself the questions to see if it's something that's going to serve you, if it's going to help you.
Yes, and I think a lot of times people say, well, when I'm in a moment of that, and I ask myself, because I've talked to people over the years, I'm older than you, I've talked to more people, and people would say, when I'm at that moment and I'm eating, I can ask myself that question. It's true, during that moment, it's hard. And I think that's why it's important. And I'm so happy, glad, just really feel just satisfied with that. We're talking about it now because we can break things down and we can make people think beforehand. When you eat, you satisfy emotion or feeling with the feeling. You eat because you're hungry. Most of the time, you should eat because you're hungry. When you're stressed, understanding now, when I'm stressed, it's not because I don't have food. There's plenty of food in and we all can go out in a mask. And you know what? You can
Yes.
make a mask from a freaking sock. So just go out there, put your dirt. I did put one of my socks on and just ran because remember I didn't want to wear a mask, so I put a freaking sock.
I would offer you a bra.
And we talked about it, and I did walk in. Do you think anyone even had looked at me? They didn't know if they should look at the hair or the mask. They didn't know to look at it. So anyway, so if you when you stress, you're not stressed because you're lacking food. You're stressed because of something else. Deal with the problem, no matter how painful it is, because the food is not gonna solve your problem. If it was, there would be no shrinks in the world. We're all would just the grocery store.
Just grocery
So
stores.
this is amazing. This is really fantastic that you and I can talk about it now when we can laugh about it and make a joke, and hopefully people can hear and and relate to whatever we're saying, so it helps them about the quarantine 15, especially now that we're stuck and we have different emotions, different day. It's almost so hard to plan because you wake up and you have one plan and something happens. So yeah, that's important key point. Emotion with emotion, hunger with hunger.
Absolutely, emotion with emotion, hunger with hunger, and at the same time comes with kind of back to the word of diet. So kind of for me, I've never been someone who kind of would do any sort of intermittent fasting. I typically would get up in the morning, I would eat my breakfast. But what I found, and this is something I started to experiment with, is trying to push my food intake to a much later part of the day. And the reason why I did this was because, we are home. I need to be able to not eat as much as I used to eat because I don't move as much as I do.
No one
And
does.
it's right. And for me, at least for me, as I mentioned, you need to be able, if you want to try an experiment, I think right now is a perfect time to experiment with
No.
anything regarding your diet. Either you trying to eat, let's say, a new vegetable, and you hate vegetables, try doing that. You either cooking some sort of a healthier recipe. You, let's say, having even trying, let's say, an intermittent fasting where you are kind of pushing off your food and not eating for a certain period of time. And these things that we're talking about trying, it's going to be a trial and error. You're going to try it, and you try it not for a day or two. You need to be able to be consistent with it. And if you're consistent with a particular
Approach.
approach that you want to do, yeah, for certain several weeks, and it works for you, that's awesome. You're going to be able to know that, hey, I can implement this.
But
You and know that once the quarantine is done, your approach may change. And
I
that's
great that
okay.
you said it.
That's okay. We need to be we as
Yes.
humans need to be very flexible. And
Yes.
this is where it comes down to your mindset. It has to be a flexible mindset, knowing that things are not set in stone. You're going to need to be able to kind of shift a little bit depending on kind of your circumstances, right? But this is going to be a good way to actually maybe implement a new habit and
And you
a healthier habit.
Yes, gravitating. And how you and I always talked about implementing habits that we naturally gravitate towards. If you're naturally gravitating, just
Yeah.
like you said, you wake up in the morning and you notice that you're naturally gravitating towards pushing your meals later. You're not that hungry in the morning. Great. It means, let's explore that direction. Or if someone already decides, you know what, I'm really not seem to be hungry for meat. It's when it all started, it seems like I wasn't really interested as much as I love my chicken and eating my chicken, my eggs, and I'm just mostly seem to wanted to have something a different food. So I'm like, okay, well, as long as I'm getting enough of my protein, I'm gonna try to see how it works for me. So going to what your body, your natural body rhythm, and certainly being careful not to, skip on a food group, or like if you do intermittent fasting, not that night, not to start eating every, door handle from the or like with me, like being which is for me, being a minimalist, and maybe there are people out there like that. I am very like I would eat three different foods, and and I would be stuck to those three different foods, but just making sure that you eat enough of the vitamins, enough of the fiber, protein, enough of the food group. So I think that's important. Just being aware of being smart in your choice of approach or diet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think kind of the biggest takeaway from all of this is one, your diet that you eat on a day-to-day basis can change and can vary.
And
And
will
right
change.
now, yeah, and it will change. And right now is actually, I think, a good time for people to experiment with different approaches that may work for them, especially for the fact that majority of the people, would always say, "Hey, I don't have the time to do this." We have the most amount of time we have ever had, I think, that we ever wanted, and to not use that time to work on ourselves, I think kind of will be a bit of a disservice to us at least. And so if you are someone who struggles, I think, with implementing different habits or someone who's been struggling with trying to manage their food or learning a new skill such as cooking, because it is a skill. Um,
Uh,
I think
yes, it
right
is.
now is a perfect time to implement it. Basically start it out and see, hey, does this work for me? Do I like it?
Or let it
And
go forever.
or
I
let
just
it go forever.
let it go. Just never look back. No matter what clouds comes, just never look
That's right. If you cause a fire in your house, you know
back.
you're not
No.
meant for the cooking.
And just like you and I talk about things a lot, and also bringing some of our discussions here to people to know about and get some information to help them in their journeys, whatever they may be going through. Well, we talk about things that we feel confident that we know, like fitness and nutrition. Maybe talking about this with someone, with a friend, or with someone that talking, not on social media. Oh, hey, everyone is trying to outdo each other. That's fucking ridiculous. Who like showing the pictures of losing weight or something. It's ridiculous. A real conversation with a real person. Talk to someone about it. Someone that that struggles with the same, or someone that and be honest about your struggles or about your victories. It's just I think talking about things definitely makes everything more clear, more uh more more how to what to say, more easier to handle when you talk about things.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're here. The reason why we started this podcast is because we wanted to actually bring in light of the issues that, people, a majority of the people do face, because we're as much as we're different, we're very much the same. And
Yes.
so the struggles that one person has is very similar to the struggles that, let's say, I have or you have. And so that is one of the main reasons why we're talking about, these topics. And as always, if you like obviously the content, please hit the subscribe button and do shoot us a comment about anything that you guys have questions about, anything, any topic that you want us to discuss that's related to fitness, nutrition, and even parenting, because, we are moms, we parent, and we have to be able to juggle kind of, this lifestyle of being fit, of being healthy, and at the same time being a parent. And it's not an easy task, but but this is what we do. We have to. This is part of life. So definitely shoot us any questions that you guys have, and of course your stories. We'd love to hear it.